just a sweet little movie about playing with Barbies.
Yeah, she really pushes the narrative of what's very kind of modern, young, left of center kids would say.
But Barbie was so upset about having cellulite, and now I'm 14 going through puberty and I have cellulite, so that's what this year's about, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, every episode we do is about some kind of breaking. Very well.
Okay. The atmosphere of modern day society has created the illusion of moral, philosophical, and social lines between what's right and what is wrong. We examine this theoretical mirage in today's latest topics and controversies. I'm Erin.
I'm Aleks.
Welcome to the show. Let's get started.
Alrighty, today's the topic all about Barbie, the Barbie movie, and in general just talking about the Barbies and the backlash that they have received.
Pink wave.
Pink wave,
wave riding.
Yeah. I thought, because I kind of come across of the video by Ben Shapiro actually on YouTube. Of course it popped up. And I kind of just decided to watch it because I'm not entirely sure how about you, but I enjoyed really the movie and I think it's genius.
I've seen just like clips. I haven't watched anything in its entirety because I know I don't like Ben Shapiro. But I do know a lot of people were making fun of him because he dressed as Ken. Went to the movie?
Yeah, no, so he apparently, he made an excuse about it saying that his producers made him go and watch it with him, basically. Which is, like, if you don't want to, you just don't. Just, like, if you're a content creator, you have an agency just not to go, and then he made so much fuss about like really just ranting how bad it was and everything, and so I was like yeah, whatever, and then there are points about it as well, but to first kind of to introduce you as well to it is just to say that I've enjoyed the movie. I really seriously think that it's very seriously thought through movie. It is definitely set itself as a very kind of playful and very kind of self-aware at the same time movie, and it done it well, cause and that's what one of my first points I wanted to make about it is that if the Barbie movie would not from the beginning set itself as a very self-aware irony of the situation, I would probably find it very radical. But because I know that they're like making fun of a lot of things, it kind of opened up my mind a little bit to it. Even though like I'm of course a slightly more conservative person, and like there are a lot of very very radically left notes in there, a lot of them. But it's kind of presented in a good way, and not in the sense of appealing to some people like myself. But it's just it's compelling enough to be like. Good point, or I don't exactly agree with something like that, or something like that. There you go. What do you think?
I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was great. I would definitely go back and watch it. There were parts of the film that I was a little disappointed with, and parts of the film I did not fully agree with, or thought it kind of brought the film down. But overall, I thought it was funny. I thought it was well thought through. I love the, mythology that they kind of gave to it. Yeah. I thought, very, very well thought through. Funny, great. Yeah. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. I thought it was an amazing film. And well done to Greta for being
That's true, yeah.
the first woman ever to reach $1 billion in a box office.
Hell yeah.
Director. Sorry.
The first
female solo director, because I think there was like a co-director with a female for another film, but
yeah.
No,
that's impressive. Again, breaking records.
That's what this year's about, isn't it?
Yes. Every episode we do is about some kind of breaking records. Very bad.
By every episode, you mean 2.
Yeah, by 2. Yes. Okay,
Oh.
but to kind of I thought to maybe recap a little bit. There was a lot of controversies surrounding Barbie from the time of its production, the first Barbie ever aired, and there are a lot of notes that me and Erin wrote about it. And probably some of them are different, but some of them are the same. And they're all gonna be down in the description, so you can actually go and actually look through and read. Some of those things that I pulled out been written in 1979. It was an article, and it's coming out on a browser, but it's coming out as a PDF separate link because it's just so much older than the internet. So it's just basically uploaded as its own thing, which is quite interesting. But yeah, there was a controversy about Barbie and about how the Barbie was portraying women and women's body in general, and the first black Barbie got introduced in the 67.
And then there's the anorexic Barbie
Barbie.
came with a book telling little girls not to eat. So Barbie's not, shy of controversies. She's had quite a few in her legacies.
Her pockets, yes. But current net worth, before the movie aired, the net worth of the Barbie as a brand was around $700 million US. So, and I'm pretty sure that within the next little while it's going to be even growing.
The amount of marketing. The amount of just, I mean, you cannot walk through our city without seeing a Barbie display in a bookstore or in a shop. If you walk down Queen Street and some typo, and then you go to all of the designer stores and they all have pink in the windows, and the buses driving around, like Barbie's marketing team. My goodness, give those people a pay raise. They were everywhere.
Yeah, for sure, and of course, because it's also very interesting, and that's a part of what Ben Shapiro kind of talked about, and it's somewhat of a point is who the movie is actually targeted at, and as before watching the movie, I have a very different idea to after watching a movie.
Oh, okay.
So before watching a movie, I thought it's maybe like families, like kids and their parents to come in, maybe like 10-year-olds and their parents to come in, and for the parents to say, hey, I played with this doll and now you play with this doll, and kind of have this kind of family bonding moment. But it really did not come out as such, which is
So who do you think the movie is marketed
really
towards?
right now? I do think that it is really about young adults. Like you take from the mid-20s to around maybe 45, actually that's the demographic.
But it honestly makes sense so much in Hollywood because Hollywood focuses in so much on nostalgia. That's why there's so many childhood shows that are being revamped because millennials want the nostalgia. They're the ones that are spending the money, know.
But
so
it's also that's a powerhouse right now. That's who spends money.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that and from the beginning, from the first credit scenes where they break the baby dolls and things.
Yeah.
That's where but that's where the first I started watching and I'm like, oh, it's not what I thought it's gonna be. that's just
just a sweet little movie about playing with Barbies.
Yeah, I mean, but it is quite interesting. So of course, even before the movie aired, we had the Vietnam and I think Thailand controversy about the 9-dash line.
Stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Hey, it's interesting.
I get that it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
But to genuinely correlate a fictional Barbie map with the 9-dash line.
Yeah.
Is
people do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't even 9 dashes.
That's true, and it wasn't even complete in circle.
And it wasn't in a circle.
Yeah.
And Barbie Land was all over the place.
And it's interesting to see also that there were some American conservatives who jumped on it and say that this is promoting Chinese interest, but it's also so it's kind of like it's a very mishmashy kind of situation to who actually been a part of the kind of controversy there, and of course people coming out and say that the Barbie movie hates man. I don't remember. We have been talking about it. I don't remember who exactly the reporter was.
Oh, you're talking about Piers Morgan.
Yeah, there you go. But the movie hasn't even aired, so how do you even know at that time? We can talk about it and be like,
but I bet
does it or doesn't. But
I bet he's gone and watched the movie and then chalked it up to I don't know. I'd have to look into what he's said most
Yeah,
recently,
actually,
but he probably, still thinks the same. You know what I do find really funny? I know we're going through kind of all the controversies associated with Barbie, but someone did a United States map of the biggest movie, whether it was Oppenheimer or Barbie.
Yeah.
And like all of the conservative states were all about Barbie, and then there's the one that hated it the most. But
hey, then they just basically marketed themselves to it. That's what basically happened. Because look, hate marketing is a real thing.
Oh yeah,
it's a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
So well, fair. But it's quite funny. But yeah, the fact that Oppenheimer and Barbie went out at the same time as well and just crashed. Yes. Absolutely. There was a Ninja Turtle movie apparently somewhere there as well, which everybody just absolutely missed. And people who went to, so some of my friends went to it and they're like, that's a great movie, and I'm like, I haven't even started hearing about it. Like, it's just so Barbie Oppenheimer kind of bubble that we live in.
It was great. It felt like an entire social experience. It was, how we haven't had a universal social experience. Like when Game of Thrones came out, everybody tuned in to that episode and we all watched it together. I feel like Barbie Oppenheimer was another one of those like social moments where everyone in the globe was like, going around to go see Oppenheimer.
Very good
Barbie.
For movies though. Very good for the actual cinemas. Very good. And
especially post COVID.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because they almost died.
That's true. And so that's basically the movie, and the movie aired eventually. And people started watching it, and interesting article is The Guardian wrote about how the center and right and everything right of center reacted to the movie, and how it received the backlash around how how it's all set and how it is so wrong about the parody of it and blah blah blah. Because Guardian is reasonably left, so of course they would do the pinching things that The Guardian usually does of particular words and just putting them.
Okay, so if you had to boil down the conservative voice on why they hate or dislike Barbie, what would you say is their
opinion?
Yeah.
They do not take parody in the movie. They take it very literally as a message.
Yep.
And that's where I disagree with them, and that's where I start even
but
there.
If you had to speak for them, just trying to kind of get the. So the whole point here is, even though we completely don't agree with each other on almost anything, he's significantly more conservative, I'm more liberal. I think the best way to kind of convene on these points is you just have to at some point try to understand the other side.
That's true.
And so if you had to give a voice to the conservative opinion on this, that wasn't just hate speech, and what do you think is the
movie does promote problems that society is facing without providing many solutions about it, and in addition to that, the solutions that we know from the conservative perspective, like faith and religion and family and family values, the movie does not promote at all. In fact, they speak very much of against it, towards individualism, towards this is my problem and I am to deal with it, rather than we're a family and we both as a Barbie and Ken will deal with it together as a unit of society. You see, that's from their perspective, that's probably would be a good point.
Right. I don't think from my perspective I would even come across seeing that, because I don't think it steered away from community values. I think it really came together and showed if you come together as a community, you're coming together.
Because
change can happen for a positive reason. It's when you put a divisive line between two groups.
That's actually true.
That was the message I was kind of getting.
One of the things that pretty much all the conservatives talked about is how the movie presets the Barbie land as the perfect land for women. and they were like, all the conservative was like, so this is what they basically do. They try to paint the perfect life. And I'm thinking about it, and I seriously was questioning that it is actually them presetting the parody of what matriarchy and this purity would look like, and it's not better than the patriarchy on the other hand.
No, I completely disagree with this.
So what
point.
I thought is it's them making fun of it. That's what I think.
So I viewed it as a parody on the real world, where all of the women are in positions of power, all of the women are in control. The men are just a pretty thing to the side. They're not really important. They're more of an accessory.
Yeah.
And it's kind of more 1950s mentality. Your wife's in the home.
Yeah.
She's just an accessory to you. You're the worker. You're the one with the job. You're the one with this. So I thought it was a parody, not of matriarchy. I don't think that's what at all they put in there.
But it is a matriarchy, right?
No.
Well that's women are in
no.
charge. It's matriarchy. It's what it is. It's the opposite of patriarchy.
No. This is where I disagree with you. I do not think that the opposite of a patriarchal system is the exact same as a patriarchal system, but just with women. I think matriarchy is a completely different system. So I don't think you can just flip it it's just women in charge going, you're inferior. That to me would not be
matriarchy.
A matriarchy.
What
I
is
think
matriarchy?
Matriarchy is more centered around, rather than having a vertical line of hierarchy, it would be a linear line of community rather than just a person on
So how is it
power.
matriarchy and not communism? Practically.
What do you mean?
Like, well, no, if everybody is
not
equal...
saying equal. I'm saying that there would be hierarchy for sure.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be a straight up spike. Just a line upwards. So I don't think that matriarchy is just patriarchy swapped.
Interesting.
With women in charge. I think matriarchy would be more small groups of hierarchy. And sure, you'll have like a president or someone in charge and whatever. But I think it would be more community based rather than just a direct line, in my personal opinion. So I don't think they were trying to portray a matriarchy. Yeah. I think they were trying to portray a parody
just flipped upside down.
A patriarchy flipped upside down.
That's what I actually meant, but that's an interesting point of discussion there, that you think that the matriarchy you assume
the system it would be different. I think.
I don't know. It's just because it's to me it's the same word. It's just a different end of it all, and it's really about who the hell has all the power in their hands. And if women have 100% of power, it's matriarchy to me. If man has, it's patriarchy. It's just what this is like. Who holds the guns?
I'm only disagreeing with you on the definition of it. I thought it was just showing a parody of patriarchy, which would be the same system but with women in charge. Yeah. And that's what I thought it was. I didn't think it was man hating. No. I thought it was showing kind of what the real world is. I mean, if you look at... So, do you know what the... Sorry, camera died. So, what I was going to say is in, the Bechdel test for movies. Mm-hmm. Like 90% of movies don't pass the Bechdel test. All it is two named female characters in the movie need to have a conversation, just a few lines, with each other about something that is not a male character. And that's it. It's bar is really low. You just need two female characters to talk to each other about something other than the male, or like moving the male's plot line forward. Okay. And like most movies don't do that. So for the most part, if you genuinely just statistically dissect movies, factually speaking, majority of women in the movies are the accessory. They don't really speak too much. They're kind of there to just be the pretty woman or whatever. Especially like the more historical, obviously movies in more recent times have changed. Have changed. But just it's so commonplace for movies to be that way. So I thought it was just a parody of that. It's okay. Well, here, and it's amazing that men have such a visceral reaction, like Ben Shapiro, to this when it's.
Be careful. Because not all men have such a reaction. There are different.
I'm not saying not all men, but I'm saying the men that are having these visceral reactions to it as man-hating movie. It's just interesting because I think they're reacting more so out of fear of seeing men being treated the way women have for so long, and it scares them.
Yeah, well, see...
Is my opinion.
Yeah, no, from their perspective, it's probably gonna be like, the women never been treated like that, and that's a whole argument there. That's probably what the line they're gonna assume.
But you could look at any movie and see that.
Yeah, but you see, well, yeah. No, I understand. I don't have argument against it. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
and
as you should. You should.
But no, it's definitely one of the things there, and really, it's fine. Like, God bless. Like, make a movie. We made a movie, but it is definitely a parody about it, and that I thought it was rather sarcastic. See, I thought that they're doing this in order to show that this doesn't work. And they said it in the beginning of the movie, that this doesn't work. And then she goes in the real world, and it's very hyperbolically, made that the real world is exactly like what she had there, just flipped upside down. Of course...
Which is kind of
See,
true.
I really think that yes, to some degree we have lots of problems, but we're much better than what the movie kind of portrayed us to be. We're definitely much better. The society is definitely much better than what the
Is it though?
Yes.
And why, in what aspects do you think the movie portrayed something more negatively about the real world than it actually is? Like, what specific instance do you speak about?
Well, for example, that she rocks into Mattel's boardroom, yes, and it's all men. And I understand it's a joke, and it's a parody, but they're not all men. So 5 out of 11 women actually at the current stage, and fairly
that's for Barbie, like that's for Mattel.
It's Mattel's CEO, CFO, and the top management is 5 to 11, which is not that bad.
But if you took statistically large corporations in general, how many? But
it's not going to be zero. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't be zero, but it would be quite low.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's probably
for now. I think it is getting better.
It's definitely but it's not going to be zero, and I think it's going to actually beat quite a bit out of zero. It's just my feeling, because I actually don't know the statistics about it, which is gonna be a good Google as well.
Right.
But that's kind of one of the parts of it, of the things, and yes, the madame who created Barbie, she actually stayed as a CEO of the company for a while.
Ruth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she stayed as a CEO for a while. Well, and the movie kind of makes fun of it that she got in trouble with the IRS and got basically
Did she?
Yeah, it says in the movie that she got sued for tax evasion and lost
but I thought
the company.
But parody, right? Like, how do you know that's true?
No, that's actually true. Yes, but she apparently been sitting like over 20 years. Apparently, she was like from 45 to whatever 70s. So apparently, she was a legit CEO. So they kind of made fun about sometimes the woman is, but it's kind of like no, she actually was there for a hell while.
Yeah.
So again, it is a parody, and that's why I taken it as if it was not a parody and it was made very not self-aware, I would be like, nah, that's bullshit. But because it wasn't, and it was a parody, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny, and to some degree, I don't know, it was hyperbolized. You don't just...
Well, that's the point of parody.
Yeah,
it
was just hyperbolized. And pretty much all the introduction to Barbie finding the real world was very much hyperbolized. And it's what I found very interesting is how the young girl in the beginning, when she like just crushes Barbie, she really pushes the narrative of what's very kind of modern, young, left of center kids would say. She definitely pushed it through. Like you're a fascist. You're
the brat.
You're the character which been abused, which been abusing women and blah blah blah. Like she's like she's
totally.
taken. It's kind of interesting that they wrote her character to be very good representative to what kind of young 15 to 20-year-olds reasonably left of center feminists would say. Fair. Like it's again that was good, and it's interesting that what I think is the movie later on shown through that it's more complex than just that opinion.
Yep.
And that's what I really appreciated about the movie.
Yeah. Well, that's also just a huge controversy for the Barbie brand in general. It's always been, is Barbie a feminist icon or is she harmful to women? If you look through her history, she's done both wonderful things for women, but
also
some really not good things, whether it be positives. She's constantly portrayed as having a career. She's done everything from astronaut to president to fashionista to you name it. She's done it. She's had the career. And it's, little girls have grown up going, oh, I could do that. That's amazing and inspirational.
That's good.
Especially for the time when it came out. It was extremely controversial for it to not be, a stay-at-home...
70s, 80s.
Yeah, like stay-at-home with a kitchen. It was like, no, she's going to have a camper. She's going to be a career woman during those times when it was very controversial for women to not work in their household. But at the same time, it's extremely unrealistic body proportions.
It is.
It genuinely at one point promoted anorexia and was like, don't eat. In a Barbie was released, I think during the 70s or 80s, and it came with a little book, and the book said don't eat, and then Barbie had a little scale that came along with it, which was 110 pounds. But also, like, if you put Barbie into a realistic human form, she wouldn't be able to breathe. Like, her proportions are just,
110 pounds is a tiny human being.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, majority of the grown people are probably going to be far beyond 110.
Oh, yeah. No, you genuinely have to be, quite severely... Yeah. Well, I mean, it also
unless
just
you're
depends.
quite short and then you're this tiny person.
Yeah.
Like, but... Yeah, like, your bones weigh.
Yeah. So, and the kind of pushback on that was Barbie looks better in her clothes because the clothes add bulk if they cinch her in and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. But Barbie has evolved since then. It's come out with the curvy, the petite, all the different variations. It also had racial undertones where they created the first black Barbie, but they only used the white mold and just made her skin darker, so she didn't have any African features that were unique to her own. It was just...
It was the same mold.
Same mold. And lots of just little things throughout the years, which haven't necessarily promoted the best ideas. And this is where I had an issue with a little bit of the movie.
Okay.
And where I was potentially a little disappointed, where I thought it was great. I thought it was good parody. I thought that the messaging was a little mixed at one part, where Barbie is freaking out about her feet going flat, and then she gets like really sad and upset about having cellulite. But at the end of the day, the message is, that you shouldn't. So it just is a little bit mixed for me in that, where it's... Because at that time, they were showing, plus-size Barbies throughout the world. And Barbies of all different races and Barbies of all different sizes. And then it's like...
See, no, I think, that's where I think, that's, again, this is the parody on the fact that they show in different sizes and everything, but they all still have perfect skin, and they all are still bloody tiny people, you know? And it's like, oh my gosh, like, real, and they all still have, you know, the feet, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like... It's her being somewhat ignorant to the real world. It's because it's before she's got to the real world.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just driving that point in that she's really living in this very much of a prison of perfect world idea. So I think that's where it was. And that's why I didn't like...
But
I was like, oh, yeah,
I think
that makes
it
sense.
just kind of just extra clashes with the later messaging. About ordinary Barbie and regular Barbie, which was a lovely concept and idea. But yeah, like those kind of moments, because now maybe some little girls are going to walk away from that movie going, oh, great girl power, but Barbie was so upset about having cellulite, and now I'm 14 going through puberty and I have cellulite, so... Maybe I should be as a normal human being, which is literally what women's bodies are designed to do. It's actually great if you go and look up the biology and why women have cellulite at all. But maybe now a 14-year-old is going to go and like be upset in her room and be like, oh, I've got cellulite on my legs. Should I be ashamed? I'm not like Barbie anymore. You know, like you go through these changes during puberty, and as an adult, you can kind of recognize the logical understanding of, you know, that's the way it should be. You shouldn't be upset. You shouldn't be ashamed. But ashamed for that. But I think kids can't necessarily recognize that, and so that's where I think mixed messaging is not great.
I agree with you, but I think that's just not for kids. It's just literally like it's not a movie for kids. It's a movie for like young adults and adults. And that's why, like, yeah, you need to be in like 3-4 years, 5 years at least into your puberty, into the kind of the real world life, to be like, okay, you're 17, 18, and then somebody makes this comment, and you probably will be able to take it like, oh, it's actually being sarcastic. It's actually making fun of it, like, because she's really making fun of it because she was perfect.
At the same time, it is Barbie. Kids are going to want to go and see it, especially little
That's
girls.
true. No, but
so they're going to see it. And the makers of the movie would know that. So that was my only, like,
no, that's true.
That little caveat, along with the moment that America Ferrera gives this wonderful speech about, you know, women can't be skinny, but they got to be healthy. They can't do this. Amazing. Because that's genuinely kind of how women have felt for so long. It was a beautiful release. I just was kind of hoping in that moment it was a little bit more of a serious emotional climax and like had maybe a little bit more of a serious emotional moment that than it did, because the movie was a comedy throughout. I thought it would have been a little more impactful if there was, I don't know, a flashback to a little girl playing, and then like maybe flashes of her throughout her life being told all these different things. And I don't know what it would be, because I'm not a movie director, but I just
so you wanted it a little darker. You wanted it a little
I just wanted a little bit more of an emotional climax at that point. I thought the speech was incredible, and I do think there were emotional moments in the movie that get to you, but I thought it could be a little bit better and more impactful, and it would have overall made the movie better.
Yeah,
that is just my opinion.
I like the speech. I thought
the speech was phenomenal.
See, well, from my perspective, what I thought is it's kind of, it fits the movie in general. Like it's just it's kind of like it's naturally flowing into that direction, and then because you see through the speech, and the speech is not fucking short, and it's taken also in one take, which is also very interesting. Like you watch it, it doesn't cut, so it's a solid her actually acting, which is bloody amazing. And I think we should really kind of stop here and just say how amazing she acted. Really
well done, America.
Like hell, like there was spectacular just acting. Within that being said, I find it being rather just following the narrative and kind of just getting what the movie is. But I see your point.
That's what I mean. I think it was too. It was just the same thing a little bit too much, and I think a genuine, big, darker moment, emotional moment would have just brought you out of the movie a little bit, impacted you a little bit more, and then you carry on with the comedy and the parody.
That's true.
That was my one beat that I would have changed.
And see what's interesting about it, and what a lot of conservatives, and now on the other spectrum as well, a lot of people who are quite left of the center, and PR does the comment about it, how people found that not being feminist enough to the degree, because now you're like, oh, it's not proposing the resolution for the problems that we had systematically and things like that. It's just a point. But at the same time, my question to you would be, and that's what I really want to hear, is what do you think the message overall of the movie is, and what do you think the movie is actually promoting? Where is it steering us?
I think where the movie's steering us? This is actually quite a big little topic I wanted to talk to you about. I genuinely think that in this last year, I would say, we are kind of riding this pink wave overall of more social change, in my personal opinion. And I think this movie is just adding significant momentum towards that. So, the same way where the Black Lives Matter movement happened, and the same way that the Me Too movement happened. And I kind of look at it as the social and political effects that are kind of going on around us are similar to that of the Industrial Revolution, where people have gone from entirely agricultural, small communities, like rural, moving to big cities, living in close quarters, having to get to know several neighbors, developing inner city communities, which ended up leading to political climate of more libertarianism, where you're coming out of the slave trade. The South, they didn't want the government involved in anything to do. They wanted...
They still don't.
Yeah, still don't. No regulations from the government. But then Industrial Revolution happened and the government gets more involved in terms of unionizing, federal minimum wage, child labor, work laws, work regulations, all of this. The federal government starts getting involved in everything with their little fingers. So it's this huge political movement that steered out of, kind of the Industrial Revolution. I feel like all of these social movements are kind of contributing to a new
change,
new class. Change, and so in the way that like the middle class was born out of the Industrial Revolution, I kind of feel like with these social changes, especially regarding women. So if you look in the last year, you have the Taylor Swift Eras tour, and that is the huge, the impacts of that. Massive. I'm not even, I enjoy Taylor Swift. I'm not a huge fan, but my goodness, like you can't ignore the tours and all of that. True. You have the Women's World Cup. That's true. Unheard of, like record breaking. Yeah. Now you have Barbie. Yeah. Like women power. So it's just like we're riding this social wave at the moment for change. Okay. And I think that the impact of that is where, it's kind of course correcting, where we're going this way. So then on the other hand, you end up getting the Andrew Tates and the Ben Shapiros trying to like turn the steering wheel back into a different direction, because for them it's veering off course. Yeah. But I do think that overall, this kind of social movement will win eventually.
Well, hopefully.
And I think the overall message is just more like, look what women can do. And then look at what society has constantly told women they have to do. They have to be this way, this way. I think America Ferrera's speech kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, it's okay to be ordinary. You don't have to be the boss. You don't have to be the number one at this. You don't have to be an astronaut, this, that, and that. You can be a regular person.
So
living a regular life.
Yeah.
And be happy at the end of the day.
No, I see. Like that's what I kind of dragged out of it as well. But what I think that the movie puts also a very interesting emphasis in, because it did kind of have. You thought that was the ending, and then it's kind of another kind of wave, and then another wave, and it's kind of like been finishing all the plot lines it had. It's kind of resolution for this particular layer of onion, and the next is also to the fact that the solution to the problems lay within the groups rather than outside of the group. I think that's what they really hammer in, is woman's problem is woman's problem. We need to solve it. Man's problem is a man's problem, and we need to solve it. It's not like everything.
You didn't see a community.
Yeah, I what I saw is
no.
it's and that's the thing. It's a very good message. Is all the problems that women have. Not all the problems that women have are coming up from men. And again, from men's perspective, not the man's problem is it's about a problem of man and not about man. Like like giving that as well and saying you are Ken because you are Ken, and it's you and it's within you to resolve what you are.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. Like
I agree. I agree completely. Speaking of that, not all women's problems are caused by men.
Yeah.
Just to touch on that, something else I've just kind of noticed in general, just whether you're reading comments or whether you're scrolling the internet or looking at TikToks or whatever it is. It's so ingrained into kind of just women's social structure for women to hate other women. And I think that's dying. I think that is absolutely going away.
Better does, yeah.
Yeah. I think that more women are rooting for women, are supporting women, rather than this whole
kind of
jealousy, bullying, whatever have you, envious crap. I genuinely just am seeing it so much less than it ever was. Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, can I just throw out there what a banger Billie Eilish's theme song is for this movie?
Was it Billie Eilish?
Is
Which
everywhere.
one was that?
Billie Eilish, the theme of Barbie.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like, it's everywhere.
I'll have to listen to that. Yeah.
Have you?
I don't know. See, like, the only thing that I have in my head right now is "I'm Just Can." And that song.
You're Knuff. You're Knuff.
Which is kind of, but yeah, no, absolutely, and they really done very well with casting. I think the casting was.
Oh my god, the moment when they like formally acknowledged by the narrator that if you are trying to hammer this point home, Margot Robbie is the wrong person to cast. Great.
Like, it's no, but
genuinely so true.
Yeah,
and
again,
what a great moment because. My God, that woman's gorgeous.
She's very pretty. But I think it's also, this is hammering the point in that it is an irony. It is a parody. It is, we're not trying to like make it like, serious, like, because then it would be a different message to what it is. And that's why, like, just having a little bit of a lightness to it and be like, it's okay. We have the problems and we just need to resolve them and it's fine. Like, it's normal that we do. And it's kind of just having those moments to be like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best person to say the phrase, right? But it's kind of, like, again, just bringing lightness to it. But absolutely, I do think it is I think the message is actually very individualistic.
Yeah.
I think it's very individualistic.
I do agree
message.
because you have all of the different individual Barbies. So it's stereotypical Barbie, and then America Ferrera, she wanted ordinary Barbie.
Yeah.
All of these individuals creating this.
Yeah.
Like, I 100% agree. Yeah.
And I was listening to this which doesn't come to my mind again. This is just 1 second. A problem. Arthur Reeves. So that points about Arthur Reeves, and whoever, if men are watching us, please do. There is an amazing YouTube channel which is called Big Thing, and they like explore different problems and like they dig into different topics, and they always have like a professor or a like actual person who is in the subject. And so Arthur Reeves is one of the authors of the books about problems of man, and to like how the modern society sometimes steers away from the like what men need, and creating Andrew Tates of the world and things like that. And so he's like, we need to have these changes and blah blah blah, and he's very 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 good at his kind of articulation. But the thing that he says a lot of the times, especially further left you go, you hear that this is the problem with man, and it's actually majority of the time the problem of man. And again, like the movie, I think it hits that point. It's like it's not. It's just you have to resolve it.
Just to kind of like touch on this, if we're going to talk about this, the problem with man and the problem of man, I think at least representative in the movie, very thoughtfully, was the character of Alan.
Yeah.
And so, in my personal opinion, I do look at toxic masculinity and men being told, shove your emotions down. I look at that as a problem for men, a problem with men. I don't think it's healthy to have these kind of mentalities and to continue to distribute these ideas on our younger generation. And I think Alan is a perfect example of that, where he doesn't fit in with stereotypical toxic masculinity is, in my opinion, what Ken was representing. The Mojo Jojo Casa, I'm in charge. The whole thing, it's the bad part of our society that is constantly being forced on men, which I don't agree with. I don't think it's fair to men for men to have to grow up and live, constantly be told they can't have their emotions. Whereas Alan, he was not. He looked at the men and he realized he himself did not relate to this toxic masculine concept. And he sided more and felt more compassionate and more drawn towards the women and was willing to fight for Barbie. While also being, again, individualistic and being the Alan. So, you disagree?
No. I think that probably was the message. I think that they could have done his character a little bit more characteristic. Because, of course, again, like, and they make a couple of jokes about it in the movie as well, that the Alan, who the hell is Alan? Because it's kind of like, who's Alan, really?
But that's what I think is the actual joke on it, is so many men live it. Yeah, so many men live... Oh, sorry, that's the alarm. So many men live in our current day society and don't relate to toxic masculine ideas. And then they're kind of left as an outsider in the way that Alan was, because he's not a woman. He can't necessarily go and be
Barbie
with Barbie and all the Barbie things. So he's kind of left to himself. I think it was that concept of men that are in our society now that can't relate to that toxic masculinity and are kind of left feeling a little more pushed out because that is the dominant concept
of what men
of our world at the moment of what men should be.
Yeah, and that's in the topic and within itself too. What do we actually draw as positive masculinity? What do we call a positive masculinity?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty,
topic for another day.
Yeah. There was an alarm, which means that the topic for today is over. As always, please continue in the comments down below. If you really want to have your opinions heard, and they will be, because we will be there as well. We are not yet making money out of it, but as long as we do, 10% of our profits will go to a effective altruism New Zealand, which is very, very good. Of course, you can follow us on TikToks, and on Threads, and on Instagram, and you can listen to this podcast on any other major podcast platforms, not only in YouTube, even though we kind of think about it as a YouTube thing. So the things like Apple Podcast and Spotify are always available to you as well. We'll miss you. Until
we'll see you next week.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.